team, it's Kira here. So I have created some folders for you guys that will show all of our ops docs. If you are not this company, don't worry. This is just a specific company that I am using as an example, as I'm going to be creating a very similar set of documents, if not the exact same set of documents for many companies, including many of my own. So this is the structure that I have chosen for the operational documents that are going to make everybody's lives easier if we follow and understand them. So I have some documents out here floating, and then I have some documents in specific folders. And we're going to start with first the master task document. So in each document, we are going to have the document branded based on the brand in the same exact formats pretty much. So if you guys, especially the operations people, are going to make more documents based off these, please make sure that you follow the structure, the fonts that have been chosen, and if we have a designer come in and improve these, then let's make sure that they are standardized across all documents, so that there is a cohesive brand, and so that it's easy on the eyes and the brain to process the information. This is partly why we brand every single document, everything related to any company. It makes it just easier to comprehend, because it's more fun to look at. So anyway, this is the master task doc. At the top of every document, you will see that there's always a quick access section. So the quick access section in this one has the ideas list, an awareness doc, and an agenda sheet template. And then this one also has relevant documents as well, such as individual task docs for each person, and the accountabilities journal. Now, it's usually not this much information in the quick access, but for this, the master task document, it's good to have this at all these references, and all of these will be hyperlinks to everyone's individual task documents and everyone's individual accountability journal, which you will learn about later. So for this master task document, one thing that is really important for a company is to have a 3-month or quarterly goal. So having the high-level company overview of tasks and goals spread out into 3 months is strategic here. Nothing is typically random in any of these documents. They're usually there for a purpose, and they're already well thought out when it comes to either the functioning of a company or the operations of a company. So we have today's task, near-term task, midterm task, and long-term task. And then a reminder to move all your completed tasks to the completed tab. Do not delete tasks as they are completed. Remember that, please. Do not delete your tasks, because your brain will forget all the stuff that you completed because you did so much work. Good job, but you will forget if you do not move it to completed. So you can simply just dump your completed tasks as soon as you're done there. Let's see. Okay, let's probably just move on to the next document. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. So this is your individual task document, and it follows the same format. Just remember when it's a template, because you're going to have the template when you go into the task doc folder and you go to individual tasks. You will have individual task doc template here, and then you will make a copy and then name it your name and task doc. And so that is why we have this. Please do not accidentally use our template to then edit it with your name, because then no one else has a template. So let's see. This is the example. I got rid of that, red warning, and now I have my own. So next is going to be our accountability journal. This is going to make daily operations, monthly overviews, and years in review really, really easy for product managers, team leads, and you as an individual doing the tasks, much more fun and easy, and it's just going to be better for everybody. So this here shows you what this accountability journal is about, and it describes it here. If you just follow the instructions, you can pull this down temporarily to expand the row and to read about what the accountability journal is, what its purpose is, and the importance of it. And so you also will have examples, prompts for yourself on what to, kind of go with when it comes to the direction of what you're going to put in each cell. And then you'll have the monthly version as well, and the yearly version. So these are the examples. You can delete them over time if you like. This is your individual document, but basically just make sure to follow this structure, and I would have probably keep the prompts just to make it easier on your brain. So that is that, and this will just to remind you, this will just make it so much easier for your managers. Oh, and I was maybe skipping over something important, that not everybody is going to use every single one of these. I don't want you guys to feel overwhelmed. The purpose of these documents is not to make you feel like there's this huge bureaucracy. So like if something doesn't apply, just skip it, leave it blank, whatever. Just every day at 10 p.m. At least I would recommend, or midnight the latest, but 10 p.m. ideally. The latest you should have filled this out. And obviously, if you do not work at this company daily, you don't have to fill it out daily. Just fill in the date in which you worked, and then fill out the information that is applicable. And what this does as like a high level overview, this makes just meetings are going to be a lot more concise, because as long as the people who are meant to stay aligned and accountable to each other know what the other people are doing and can access people's accountability journal, basically their diary for work, there will be a lot less open-ended questions. People will be on the same page. Just information will already have been exchanged much more easily, because you can quickly come to somebody's journal and see, oh, okay, so I see what their progress was on this and where they are on that. This is how I can facilitate next. And it's just going to make communication and facilitation of tasks, action items, and every type of communication faster if we can just get this down, and make it efficient and easy for everybody else to read. So that is the high level purpose of the accountability journal. I assure you it's going to be very, very useful. So next is agenda doc. This is for anybody who is going to be leading a meeting. Leading a meeting can be nerve-wracking for anybody, even a founder or a CEO, or an executive. And in many of these situations, you can even forget what was I supposed to talk about next. And that obviously makes meetings less efficient. And we are trying to optimize for efficiency when it comes to communications, because I think maybe there are AI tools now that are starting to assess like if meetings were productive or not, because the AI can kind of determine that, for us automatically. And as you'll see, different meetings may be less productive or labeled not that productive, if they do not follow a strict agenda, ideally. And strict is in like, this time block is meant to be for this. Ideally, it can go over, but we know that if we go over, we're going over into another section, and that we're sacrificing from the minutes. We're sacrificing some minutes from there for the current section. So this is a really good example. Current vision and needs may go over, but then we are sacrificing the Q&A and clarification section. So if you just follow this by saying at minute 0, okay, it reminds me to hit record. I have this open while I'm doing a meeting, and many of you need to pay attention to this, because even if you are not a team lead currently, you may be in the future, and you will need to eventually lead a meeting. I hope that everybody gets a chance to lead a meeting in every company at some point. I think it's a great experience to be had if it makes sense. And so anyway, this kind of lets you show people ahead of time what the meeting is going to be about. This is also very important and helpful for everybody else who's going to be on a meeting to know what is going to happen in this meeting, so that they can prepare. They don't just go into this thing like saying like, I don't even know if this meeting is even worth my time. Should I even attend it? People need to know the relevance, and if they are in a pinch, and they realize like, okay, none of these different topics actually involve my very specific tasks that I'm working on this month, or my skill, and if I absolutely have to choose between this meeting and something else, then that helps them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Maybe sometimes some people will have to say, this meeting I cannot attend because I have other things to do, and this one's a lot less relevant to me. But the point is that they're going to be recorded too, and so if somebody absolutely has to miss a meeting, this way they can better inform themselves which meeting they can miss and which meeting they absolutely should not miss, or do their very best not to miss. Because it's better to have all hands on deck, but that's not always possible, and I'm aware of that, even myself as a founder. So anyway, this will make things so much smoother. Please share. Please always create an agenda doc before a meeting, if you can, unless it's really, really just not relevant. Then you would only fill out like one of these. If there's not a reason to, don't. But like I said, this helps everybody prepare for that meeting better. They can, think ahead mentally, prepare documents, anything they may want to bring up in that specific meeting on a specific time block, they can. This is what is going to make a company operate smoothly. So this is what all of this is about, is operations. Anyway, I'm going on, I'm sorry. Okay, next is live team meeting notes. So this is basically the master document for team meeting notes. And I want to say that these are my suggestions for operations. Every company may end up changing this slightly or drastically based on what works for them. So these are suggestions, not always rules, until the company has decided this is a rule. Like, you absolutely must do your accountability journal, for instance. Like, I think that one would probably be one that companies are going to want to keep, or maybe not. But there are going to be many different ways that people end up doing different operations, and that is okay. You're going to end up refining these. You're going to make them better. You're going to realize that certain things are faster. That's the whole point of operations. You want speed, efficiency, and accuracy, and depth That's the best form of operations you can get to. If you can manage that, you have succeeded as a team or as an individual in successfully executing operations. So this is the extended version. I gave you guys a formatting reference here to not delete in the template version. This can be helpful across other documents as well, like what the typical heading size is, etc., for replicating other documents or creating other operational documents if you want to make your own. So the idea behind this kind of master or live team meeting notes document is that it's actually sometimes really helpful. I know we have AI that are already taking notes, but it's sometimes really helpful to take notes live. So, obviously, if I'm writing some notes here live, everybody can see what I think is the higher priority and what thoughts I'm having as somebody is speaking that I think is I'm gonna definitely keep this for myself too. I'm gonna copy and paste this thought I had and I'm gonna add it to my own meeting notes doc later, comprehensive meeting notes document later. Trust me, it's actually really helpful to have it all in one document. Now maybe you guys might not end up doing that, but it's something I suggest. And I've got this longer template, with the formatting and everything else and other things that could be maybe potentially useful and could be hidden potentially as well to consider. But then I also just have the simplified version, which I really like. And this is just one that you would end up, this one or the other one above in the tab, you just end up simply duplicating it, name it by the date of the new meeting, and then you'll have a bunch of tabs here with different dates, and this will be kind of like a master document because you'll have all these different meeting dates down here and all the live meeting notes that will give you a very good overview of oh yeah, what was, I've got this agenda doc from this date, and that agenda was it was about or that meeting type was specifically a strategy or a media meeting, and I can go back and look at the media meeting from that date and see what everybody's thoughts were that day, or even go into their individual task or notes documents. So for me, I have my individual notes. I actually wrote these out in another meeting live in a live meeting notes document, and then I formatted them and made them a little bit prettier and put it in my own color, so text. So that's another thing that I like to do is have, if I'm writing in the live meeting notes doc, I might change the color of my text really quick so that people instantly can recognize it, and it just makes it more fun to look at again. And trust me, this seems maybe redundant with the AI note taking and everything, but it really does highlight what people are thinking is important. So next is the social media publishing data dump spreadsheet, and this is just to keep track of posts in an organized fashion, and this will be very useful, and I highly recommend doing this because what this does is it gives a really good document eventually to make a custom GPT or custom AI for social media posting, for creating titles, base descriptions, hashtags, all sorts of stuff, and also having a document or a spreadsheet like this, that shows all the different social medias that the organization owns, and the quick links to posting to them is another document that actually I should add to this operations document list. But basically that document is all about where to post, where to quickly upload direct links to YouTube Shorts, and like you don't even have to navigate to the company YouTube and then to Shorts. It's already on the YouTube Shorts page. So, just really quick access links. That's another really great operational doc to have. It will increase the efficiency of your posting, or for whoever is responsible for posting that month. And then this will keep all of our posts organized. We will be able to go back in our social media, look at dates for certain posts. If the media ever needs to be edited for some reason, I mean, you never know, you might have to edit something for legal reasons. You should keep track of this type of information. You should not have to have somebody scroll endlessly back in a social media to find an old post that needs to be deleted, edited, or standardized for new information that needs to be updated. All sorts of reasons why this is very important, even though it's boring and you're just copying and pasting stuff. This is important for you social media managers, and anybody posting to social media from the company or for the company. So next, this is the company assets document. This is for internal and investor. This is an internal plus investor reference document. It has the purpose here and everything, and it's what inspired it, which was actually Daniel Priestley. He's an amazing serial entrepreneur. I highly recommend him, all of his books and podcasts. And this is based on the 24 Assets book, which I own. This basically is showing what does the company hold in terms of assets. Assets are what gets a company funding. Assets are what ensures a company's survival and continuation. So for instance, that is like intellectual property. Maybe you have a property portfolio where you own certain locations, so strategic land holdings, etc. Maybe once you're big enough, you should probably have a treasury and strategy and reserve, such as an inflation hedging treasury, which might be, for instance, a Bitcoin treasury reserve or other long-term value preservation assets to hedge for inflation. You may have hard assets, digital media, lead generation, knowledge and authority assets, and financial assets. So these are all really important. This is literally what makes a company valuable, and keeping track of the assets that you do and do not have is essential for everything money. So this may seem more like a long-term document, but it is relevant at all stages of a company. So the next document is also inspired by Daniel Priestley. It's something that him and his companies all do. It's called an alignment document, and I don't know exactly what their documents look like, but this is based on the things that he said in an amazing podcast that he did. Basically, this is important for alignment of everybody in the company. So this is to basically align, what is it that we are all building? Like, what is the end goal or the end state here? What does winning look like? Who are the people that need to be aligned? And how will people win? What is the reward structure in this company? Things related to that. And so this is a really good document for a founder to make sure that they edit first things first before other people see it. Since I have probably already dumped it in your operations folder, so if you're a founder, please go edit that right away. But then also, this is really important for onboarding people. Onboarding people must be efficient, clear. People understand exactly what the company is about, like quickly. This is a really good document to either jump off of and make an onboarding doc based on it, or just simply use it as the onboarding doc, which is probably what you guys will end up doing. Also, I made a kind of large note here, but it's to remind you when you get a chance, either if you're the ops person or a founder or somebody, to make a document that is supposed to be in this quick access section for this document, as it's very related to this document, is another doc called Dynamic Relational Org Map. And it actually may not be a document at all, it may be like a mind map, but it's a relationship map that shows how individual team members, functional teams, and partners are connected through real working relationships. This is important for, again, this is a very good onboarding thing and an ongoing thing for people within the company, especially as the company grows. Because what the dynamic relational org map does is it visualizes how teams interact either day to day, and not just how they are organized on paper, and you know, it's designed to be dynamic and show how those relationships connect or change over time. That's why it might be good to have a mind map where you can change the links between different people. And what this does is it allows everybody to know, okay, like, who do I even go talk to about this thing? Like, who typically works with who on what? And without having to go, message somebody like, hey, like, who do I message about this? You can just go reference the map, and if everybody keeps that up to date, then you just reference, and you find out who is in a relationship with, who talks to this company, who is the decision maker, which is something that, this is like something that is fundamental in society that breaks down on so many levels. When it comes to getting things done, is many times nobody knows who the actual decision maker is on something, because if you go to the wrong person, you keep going to the wrong person, the door is going to remain closed. But we don't want that in an organization. We want to be able to open doors quickly that need to be opened. We don't want somebody to spend and waste a lot of time going from one closed door to another. So that is what the dynamic relational org mind map basically will be. And once you guys reach definitely past the size of 12 people, you will need to do this. And maybe even at around 12 people, it would be good to go ahead and start building this mind map. Trust me, it will make operations and things a lot more efficient. So the next one is an awareness doc. Now, this one is really important because it's better to to voice, clarify, raise any concern that you might have than to not, because even if it ends up being that it's not a big deal, then what happens is we can at least make sure that any kind of concern is dealt with. Because one way that companies die, and I have actually seen a startup fail because people were not able to communicate concerns well enough. The founder was not able to do that. The people in the company were not able to do that. And the best way to put it is really an awareness. People have an awareness that they want to raise, because this concern makes it sound like it's this big dramatic thing. Really, a lot of the times it's not. But we worry that by voicing something that it's going to sound dramatic, right? But it's not. It's just an awareness. We want to be able to raise awarenesses, just to bring something to attention that might need a little tiny light shown on it, right? Or maybe it needs a big light, but it needs at least a little light, right? Okay, so an example of that might be there's not enough quick approval systems for many revenue activities to move with agility. And then there might be some clarifying questions, which are open to anybody that you could put. So, which revenue activities are most delayed by approvals? So then that person can say, okay, well, yeah, that's a great question. I think it's this kind of activity that is getting delayed. And then, which decisions could be pre-approved or delegated safely. And then you can determine that. And so this is the first step to problem solving. Minor problems, or just raising a little awareness. And maybe even we could put stuff like tiny spotlight or medium spotlight or big spotlight, so people know, like, hey, I'm not trying to make a big deal about this. This is a tiny spotlight, but I just wanted to raise my hand and raise this awareness. Maybe that would be something that can be implemented. And I just had that idea right now. I think that's actually a really, really good idea. So that people don't accidentally construe a tiny spotlight awareness for something bigger than it is. Okay, so for each awareness, I have a template here. Awareness, clarifying questions, potential solutions, and suggestions on best meeting time and group or person to raise this to. This is going to be really helpful. Again, this is what funnels in this awareness to the right moment, because that's another problem with raising awareness. Sometimes we don't know when's the right moment. Maybe it's not the right moment right then. There are other priorities. People have different things on their minds. So what you do is, instead of raising it there, you raise the awareness here, and you get people to comment on it. You can say, this is just a little awareness, but I'm putting it here for now, for whenever people get a chance. So this is an awareness document. I think this should always be reviewed. People should go back and say, is there any new awarenesses, or are there any new awarenesses? Maybe like once a week would be a good thing to check on in the awareness doc. And then here are going to be the resolved ones. So this will really keep the culture in a culture of being open, being honest, being able to raise an awareness on something that might need a little light shown on it. Okay, next is the company assets document. I may have already done this one. Okay, yes, I did do this one already. Okay, so I think that's it. That is everything. There's an ideas list, which the ideas list can be formatted however you want. And so that's one thing that needs to be added to quick access for your company. And please make sure, if you are an operations person, that all of these links are properly linked to your company's documents and not accidentally backlinked to someone else's, or just doesn't have a link at all, or just is in the wrong place. Probably won't be linked to anyone else's, actually, now I just realized that, to anyone else's company's documents, but it would be potentially linked to the wrong place. So please make sure that those links are correct. What else was I gonna say? I think that's it. But anyway, if I forgot anything, I will add it later. I hope that you guys understand the kind of purpose and the goal for everything here, and how the different documents are related, and why I have certain things in quick access documents for different docs. It's kind of like linking different docs to other docs just makes everything feel like this quick network, right? Like we're creating like a Wikipedia, right, for a company. That's probably the best way to put it. This is your little wiki universe for for your company. And so linking relevant documents, like everyone's individual task doc, for instance, in the master task doc. For instance, this is a great example. What that does is it allows you to, while you're working in the master task doc as a team or as a founder or as a manager or as a team leader or whoever, any part of the company, every single person is important. So any person working in here can really go and say, oh, I need to add that to mine. I'm gonna go to me and add that, and then this could go to this person's individual task doc, and they can add the task to their task doc and say, hey, leave a little comment and say, hey, Suzanne, I left you or added this task to your task doc. Let me know if it's relevant, or let me make sure that you're the right person who should be assigned this, but hopefully I already know you are, because I understand who you are in the company because of the mastermind doc, or the mind map document that shows everyone's relationships to each other and the type of work that they do in accordance to everyone else. So anyway, I really hope you guys enjoy that and that this is useful for you, and happy operations and organizing and tasking and crushing goals and everything. Yeah.